Oh,
Live.
hi.
Hi,
How are
Nicole.
you?
So everybody's been seeing a lot of my beautiful face lately. And finally,
Yes.
I get to introduce my favorite partner in the whole world, my only partner, Nicole Davis.
Thank you. Yes, you've been doing a great job, and I'm sure everyone enjoys seeing you on Facebook and sharing content and all of that. So I'm glad that we're able to talk together today.
Yeah. Can you tell everybody a little bit about your background before we get started on the topic of setting their fee?
Oh, sure. So my background is in financial planning and analysis, and so I have worked extensively with individuals and business owners and in various capacities. So from just a pure planning and perspective to divorce, business growth, improving operations, improving revenue, managing expenses. I have about 20 years of experience in financial planning.
It shows because you've helped me a lot in streamlining some of the financials in my practice, and you make it feel effortless.
Like, well, good. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, that is how it's supposed to be. Actually, since I've known you, I'm more comfortable with numbers, which is unheard of.
Yes, it's been iterative, right? It's a process.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, as you've been spoon feeding things to me over the last couple years, it's like, okay, I can soak it up one thing at a time. And I think therapists are very notorious for not liking numbers and being very resistant to them.
Right. Numbers aren't everybody's. Yes, and numbers aren't everybody's cup of tea, right? But when you have a private practice, you either have to be the one looking at the numbers on a regular basis, evaluating where are your expenses, where's your revenue, what is your profitability, or you need someone alongside you helping you do that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And one of the big questions that I've encountered is, how do I set my fees?
Oh my gosh, that was such a big thought for me. And in private practice, and I got into private practice just from day one. I hit the ground running. I worked in a home care agency, and I was the only therapist going around seeing clients pro bono, so I didn't even have a fee.
Right.
But when it came time to set the fee, it can be anything.
It can. It's to your discretion, right? It's your practice. It's your discretion. You get to choose and set that fee. But the big question is, how do I go about doing that? What is this process?
Ooh, what am I worth?
That's a lot of people. So there are certain things that drive a person's determination of what their fee is. And we're talking particularly private pay fee, because if you're taking insurance, that fee is sort of set. Right?
Yeah.
So I have to say there's no cookie cutter way of setting one's fee. And that, just like acquainting oneself with their finances, is iterative. It needs to be revisited on a regular basis, whether that's, you're just starting out, give it 6 months, see how it feels. Are you making enough income to cover your expenses? Do you need to make a change? And then again, on an annual basis, based on your experience, training, specialty, your market. So
I was just counting in my brain because I count on my fingers. And I've changed my fee 4 times for 4 different reasons. And so why do you think therapists struggle with setting their fee or knowing what to set it at?
I think it may be a little bit of, therapists are helpers, right? I mean, many therapists feel a duty to help their clients and maybe struggle with being able to evaluate from a business perspective, what is that worth? What is an hour of therapy with me worth, while balancing what can my client afford?
Yeah.
And looking at it from more of an emotional perspective rather than perhaps a pragmatic, mathematical or business perspective. So there are a couple of, and I think there are some strategies out there to, and one will resonate more than another. There are some strategies to kind of dissect the emotion from the money.
That's very important.
Yeah, so three methods kind of come to mind to start evaluating.
Do tell.
Okay, so there is take a look at your market. Wherever you're located, take a look at what other private pay therapists are charging for similar therapy.
And sometimes they won't tell you. And a good way to figure it out is go see a few of them.
See a few of them. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Or you can see the range of their fee on Psychology Today. If they posted on Psychology Today. There might be a group therapy practice in the area that posts their private pay rates on their website. It takes a little bit of research to kind of figure out what the market is kind of calling for. One other thing that I would say is just keep in mind that when you're looking at those rates, is that the hourly rate of someone who's been practicing for 20 years or of somebody that's been practicing for 2 years, right?
Absolutely. That is absolutely a factor to consider.
Right, because the person that's been practicing for 20 years theoretically has probably gone to more trainings, has more experience and things like that. So they may command, or ask for, or they may have a full practice, and that's, they can ask for that higher hourly rate. So just keeping those things in context.
So
one other method, yes, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So I was just trying to break it down. So the first method is take a look around at your market, at therapists that are at your same level. And also outside your level, so you can see what there is to look forward to.
Correct.
Okay, that's step one. What's the next one?
Well, that's one way to go about it. The second way to go about it is to approach it from a top-down perspective. So how much would you like to make each year, assuming you do therapy so many hours in the year? And just really looking at that top line number. Some people that they have a goal, right? They have a goal of what their revenue should be per year, and figuring out, okay, how many hours can I realistically do therapy, active therapy each year?
Yeah, because working hours for therapists are very different than like working hours for somebody else, because we are so engaged and so on during those hours that we're with clients that there's a limit to how many client hours that we can actually work, and the client hours are when we're actually being paid.
Correct. Yes. So note taking, preparing for the next session, taking care of your business books, right? Doing your taxes or getting your books ready for taxes, scheduling new client appointments, talking to potential new clients on the phone. All of that is unpaid time. Most people don't charge for that time. So when evaluating the true number of worked hours or hours that you would be making an hourly rate, take that top line revenue goal and divide it by those working hours and see what that rate looks like. Is it realistic? Would you be pricing yourself out of the market? And just figure out from that perspective, is that a realistic starting point for your fee?
Right. So you can experiment a little bit, like say, I want to make $100,000 a year. And so this is my current fee. So divide it by my current fee, and that gives you how many clients you would need to see in a year, and then divide that by months and down to weeks and everything. And then it's like, okay, is this realistic? Do I need to
not clients, but but therapy hours.
Yes, therapy hours. Mm-hmm. I think of clients as therapy hours, but you're right, it's therapy hours.
Mm-hmm. Because some clients will come once a week, some clients will come every other week, some clients will come once a month.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. And then so you can say to yourself, well, my revenue goal, I need to reduce my expectations, or I need to increase my fee to meet my expectation.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. Yes. So sometimes maybe you want to make X amount of dollars, but you're not ready for that fee.
Correct.
Yes.
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. But then jumping to the third method, mm-hmm. right? The third method is a bottoms up.
Okay.
And that, the combination of the bottoms up and the first, like looking at your market and mm-hmm. comparing what you provide to like experienced therapists in your area, mm-hmm. the combination of that will be a very strong start mm-hmm. to setting an appropriate hourly rate. Okay, so the bottom up method is this. Understand what your recurring, ongoing operational expenses are. So rent, annual training, insurance, paying yourself a reasonable salary, all of those expenses, right? So you tally up those expenses, and on a monthly or annual basis, what is that total, mm-hmm. right? Based on an estimated, if you do a market research, mm-hmm. right, well-founded, market-driven rate, how many therapy hours would you need to, how many working hours would you need in order to just cover those basic expenses? Mm-hmm. Yep. Are your, and then figure out, okay, am I covering my expenses, which should include what you pay yourself mm-hmm. and the employment taxes on that? Are you covering with your number of therapy hours and rate? Are you covering your basic needs?
Yeah. Starting in private practice, I didn't even think of any of this. I was stuck in the land of, what am I worth? What am I worth? Mm-hmm. How do I get a client? Will mm-hmm. they pay this much? I don't know,
Right.
And it wasn't until I got seasoned more and gained more confidence and gained an understanding of the market where I started to realize that, okay, this is what the market looks like. These are my expenses. This mm-hmm. is what therapy is worth based off of these logical things. But then right. also, I know that I'm also worth it too, because right. I'm going to these trainings. I'm networking with many professionals and learning about, best practices and things like that. So.
Correct. Mm-hmm. That's right. And I would caution against like that fear-driven decision-making. I would caution against just throwing out whatever rate somebody's willing to pay, because as you know, you get locked into that fee with that client.
Oh yeah.
Or at least close to that fee for that client. So if you say, oh, I charge $60 an hour private pay. Now everybody that they refer to you is going to assume that you charge $60 an hour.
Yeah.
And then if a year goes by and you're like, I should really adjust my rate, it's going to be really hard mm-hmm. to adjust their rate up to maybe
right.
your current rate, which might be $100 an hour or $90 an hour. I mean, it's really hard to adjust that rate after you've already set the expectation.
Yeah. With my clients that have stuck with me since before I was licensed, mm-hmm. They understand, and I verbally expressed to them that they get a big discount mm-hmm. and that if they refer anybody, that people that they are referring will not get that discount because the fee has changed, because I wasn't licensed yet. I have years more of experience, and now this is kind of the evolution of things. And so that's easy for them to understand, but you're right too, so you have to
just be mindful of it. I'm not saying don't do it, but just, I caution just keep these things in mind, because what you choose to do today can have longer term ramifications. It's not that you can't change your fee, because you can change it anytime you want, but it's setting that expectation for your current clients going forward.
So how do you adjust your fee? Like, what are your suggestions?
So, obviously, if somebody is incurring more business expenses, maybe they're moving to a full-time office from a part-time office, and you don't maybe want that expense to eat into your profitability, you might need to adjust your rate to cover that additional overhead. Let's say your insurance policy goes up each year, and you need to cover that additional premium. You might want to add to your month, to your hourly fee to cover those expenses. So that's more expense driven, right? The other consideration is each year you're 1 year more experienced. You've probably obtained more training. You may have obtained more certification. Those things have value.
They absolutely do.
And so depending on what those things are and what your market commands for that experience, it might give you an indication of, okay, I obtained another certification. Other individuals in my city, in my area, with this many years of experience have a rate of X. I think I'll adjust mine, some percentage or some dollar amount.
I think that if therapists have an emotional issue with whatever their fee is, because maybe they're new to private practice or they're just new in general, that it's okay to kind of cater that to that a little bit, like if you feel like that you're not going to pay any more than $80 for therapy, and it would be really hard for you to ask for more than that, I think it's okay to cater to that a little bit for a little while. And then maybe ratchet it up as you gain more experience and feel, so there's this emotional aspect to it as well. But I think it's really important for people to consider what you're saying about the logical piece of it. You have expenses, you have trainings that you go to, and what you are providing is a helping service, but it is extremely valuable because your clients can be more productive and make more money and do more things in their lives and have so much happiness because of what they do.
Absolutely. And there's also therapists need to worry about their own financial well-being as well. And part of that is, how much do you need to make on a monthly basis to meet your own household needs?
Yeah, because if your basic need of safety and security isn't met,
how can you do your best work?
Yeah. Yes. So it's this everything's connected type of scenario.
It is.
Yeah, I can tell you that since I've set my fee at what it's at, I feel so much more secure, and I feel confident in my work to set my fee at what it's at. But I know that I can pay my bills. I can have my office in Clayton. I can go buy a pair of new work pants if I want to.
Correct.
And it's not an issue.
It's not a struggle. You're not worrying where the next dollar,
Yeah.
You have enough to meet your basic needs. Yeah.
Right.
Business and personal.
Right. And they go hand in hand.
They do.
Okay. Well, thank you, Nicole, for talking to everybody about setting their fee. And if anybody has any questions, they can put them in the comments section.
Yes.
And, if they're watching this on like LinkedIn or another platform, you're more than welcome to send me, Kristen Craren, Craren, a friend request, or Nicole Davis. Hers is much easier to spell. Davis,
yes.
A friend request, and then we can add you to the group.
Absolutely. And if you, I'll just give this little plug. If you're interested in more topics related to this or anything else related to therapy private practice, put that in the comment as well, because then we can do more videos on what is most important to you.
Awesome. Well, it was so nice to see you.
You too. Thanks, Kristen. Bye.
Bye.